Urban residents around the world regularly reclaim old warehouses, abandoned rail yards, and other obsolete spaces, with coalitions rising, ebbing, and flowing again to transform these forlorn sites in ways that reflect shared contemporary needs and values. From Berlin to New York, from Paris to Dublin, amorphous, dynamic sets of actors, who may at first only be strangers, converge in unexpected ways. One such emergent site of urban commoning is in Montreal, and it is called the Champ des Possibles, literally the realm of possibility, or what might better be translated into English as a field of dreams. On what was a disused rail yard now being formalized into a public open space, our team has been exploring the extent to which regular and visible presence in and care for a public space might compensate for unclear social boundaries and the absence of legal rights.
Commons are social phenomena. Commoning refers to practices and processes through which relationships are produced and reproduced among a set of people and a thing, space, or place, such that the people come to recognize and understand one another as fellow commoners, and the thing, space, or place as a commons. If commoning is a set of practices, it should be possible to identify particular practices as supportive of commoning. We argue that caring, specifically caring with in a visible manner, is one such practice. The literature on the ethics of care distinguishes several forms of care. Not all support commoning. For example, caring about something implies appreciating it, recognizing its need for care, and perhaps loving it. It is an emotional attachment. It is a personal attachment. It may not be communicated to anybody, and if it's not communicated to anybody, it does nothing to build or maintain relationships, whether of commoning or otherwise. Taking care, providing care, assessing the quality of care does build or maintain relationships, but those relationships are not necessarily supportive of commoning. They may instead support privatization. We argue that caring with does support commoning. Caring with involves a set of people in relatively equitable relationships of providing and receiving care. It involves a mutual sensitivity to the concerns, needs, and desires of others. These relationships do support commoning. We argue that caring with is particularly supportive of commoning when it is visible. Visibility signals to others who are part of the commons that there is a collectivity and that that collectivity remains active, that others continue to invest in it, contribute to the common shared project. It also signals to those who are not part of the commons or not yet part of the commons that a commons exists and that there is a set of people who share a common attachment to a thing, space, or place. Thus, caring with in a visible manner that, if the commons is a space or a place, occupies that space or place, supports commoning. We illustrate these dynamics in the context of the Champ des Possibles in Montreal.
The Champ des Possibles is located in the middle of Montreal, in a central neighborhood with little green spaces. It used to be a quarry and was then used as a railway course by a train company until the 1970s, when it was abandoned until the early 2000s. In 1995, a change in demographic in the neighborhood brought a group of citizens willing to organize to protect the architectural heritage of the site. But it's not until 2007, when a biologist and an artist started caring for the champ for very different reasons, that the site started to see a new life. One had interest for biodiversity, and because of the specific factors that made this site unique in that regard. The artist was interested in this site because green spaces were so rare in the neighborhood. She decided to occupy the champ with sculptures and engaging with people through art. The sculptures took the form of the symbol used to protect museums and cultural sites from war, starting in 1935. This project was called the Roerich Garden, based on the name of the project to protect museums, the Roerich Project. This is when the group of citizens grew. The fight to protect the champ from becoming a parking lot started at that time. In 2009, This citizen mobilization was formalized through the creation of a community-based organization called Les Amis du Champ des Possibles, Friends of the Champ des Possibles. This organization came to an agreement with the borough on co-management practices that were based on keeping a presence on the Champ des Possibles, as well as caring for it, while the borough would protect the existence of the site. This has been the approach from the beginning, caring for the site through community engagement. Since then, Les Amis du Champ have taken on the role to occupy the space, explain its history, and why it's so different from other green spaces. One thing that is very special is its biodiversity. Activities like BioBlitz, which are biological inventory, and insect study, done with citizens, help a lot in that regard. It helps outreach and educate citizens about the uniqueness of the site to foster interest. This resulted in a book coming out in which you could find the 450 plus species living in the Champ des Possibles. But the mobilization around the Champ des Possibles goes further than the citizens' mobilization, as they are partnerships with local organizations that are using the champ. Two examples are the Lion and the Mouse, Le Lion et la Souris, who have kids and parents experiencing the site differently through free play. The other organization, called Dîner Saint-Louis, helps reintegrate 18 to 30-year-olds in the workforce and in the community by teaching them new skills by working in the Champ des Possibles. The skill they develop allows them to learn how to manage green spaces while supporting and carrying biodiversity. Throughout this work, people now understand this site better and why it looks the way it does. There are, however, still challenges.
To address the challenges of sharing the commoning space, we will take the experience of the lion and the mouse as an example. Generally, their relationship to the champ can be defined as mutually beneficial, in the sense that the site offered the kids a space for adventurous playing and for exploration, and in the same time, their presence there and the care that they give to the site benefit back the champ and its other users. Thus, the lion and the mouse cohabit the space with other users, such as dog walkers or houseless people. However, some conflicts do arise, such as those with the Aire Commune. The Aire Commune organizes events such as talks, happy hours, concerts, and DJ parties on a lot adjacent to the Champ des Possibles. Many participants of those events see the champ merely as their dumping ground, and thus inconvenience the champ's community. However, thanks to their visibility at the champ, the Lion and the Mouse organizers were able to influence the Aire Commune to make some operational changes to relieve some of the tensions. New challenges also arise during the pandemic, during those times when care and supervision for the site decreased considerably. The champ users complained about the multiplication of bonfires, about garbage problems, and about the excessive cutting of healthy trees. But it wasn't all bad. As one Lion and the Mouse parent said, and I quote, "The power of seeing traces of people when you can't see people brought much more benefit than loss." And so, discovering other users' traces nourished the imagination of the kids and contributed to the process of caregiving in the space.
When groups of people, such as those involved with the Roerick Gardens project, Les Amis du Champ des Possibles, and Le Lion et Souris, care with the Champ des Possibles in visible ways that occupy the space, it gives rise to dynamic, successful commoning. During the pandemic, Les Amis du Champ des Possibles, Le Lion et Souris, and others have continued to care about, care for, and indeed care with the Champ des Possibles. Maintaining a visible presence and occupying the space, however, has been restricted by public health measures. It has been spotty and inconsistent, and we have seen breakdowns in commoning, new conflicts, an increase in destructive behavior, and greater difficulty in maintaining and extending a sense of community. We suspect that the importance of caring with in a visible manner that occupies a space extends beyond the case of Montreal's Champ des Possibles and that of the pandemic. Establishing whether this is true will remain for future research.